What's up, y'all? It's Truth Tiger, and I'm going to talk about the narcs again, and I'm going to talk about the narcissistic enablers, and just, man, they are so obsessed with the narcissists. It's so annoying, and, you know, it's like they just are looking for a narcissist in their life. They really want narcissists. In terms of relationships, they only want to be in a relationship with a narcissist. They only want to be friends with a narcissist, etc. And I remember I was watching this video, and it's like this guy going around interviewing these girls and stuff. And he asked one girl, "What kind of guy do you like?" He's like, "I want a guy who's controlling. I want a guy who's manipulative. That just, I just so hot for a guy like that, you know." And I've even had a girl tell me, like, you know, the only way, you got to play head games with me. The only way you're gonna get in my pants, you got to get in my head first. You know, you got to play head games. She just outright said that to me. Like, come on, you know, like they want some stupid manipulative narcissist. They do. And I've heard a lot of guys say, "Oh, only a crazy chick gets me going," or "I need my girl a little feisty," you know. And they say that, but then you see the kind of women these guys date: total Jezebels, total control freak, insane nutcases, you know. And I can tell another story about that, where I was hanging out with a friend of mine who was dating a girl he should not have been dating, and me and him are talking, and she's not really getting a lot of attention. So she just starts screaming a bunch of crazy stuff. I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube and say the words, but she starts screaming, help me, help me, help me. She started to say she was, that she started to scream that she was being, sex against her will. You know, she was screaming that she was being P-I-N-G. Yeah, you know, she was starting to scream that R-A-P, E-D, that was happening to her when it wasn't, just to get attention. And it's just like, yo, like, where do you find this chick? Like, I know there's narcissists everywhere, but for someone who's that bad and that insane, like, how do you find this chick? And he's like, "Oh, we're taking her to therapy, and I'm going to fix her up right good," like, no, you're not. What are you doing, What in the absolute heck are you doing, And I've seen this with a lot of women where it's like, "Oh, Evan cheated on me again, but, he'll change, he'll change," And you see this, some girl, which is some freaking guy who's cheating on her, or not being, just being a jerk to her, and, "Oh, I always got to get back together with him," or he's some narcissist guy who's like 20, 30 years older, and she's like, "Oh, but I love him." Oh, it's like, oh my God, and I've just seen this stuff, so much, and it's just a bunch of ridiculousness. And I'm not trying to blame people who are victims and stuff like that, but it seems like some people really go out of their way to find these people, I used to work with a guy, and, he was telling me all about his crazy ex, and, I don't know, all this stuff. Nutcase story. She cheated on him, but she also swapped out with her twin sister, and he got some in, and I don't know, man. And then she starts trashing the house and being violent, and that's where the problems really stem from. But, and then next day at work, I see him being dropped off by a friend of his. And I was like, "Hey, man, what happened? Like, what happened to your car?" He's like, "Well, I was at the bar. I met this girl. We blah, 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 blah. And then, she stole my car and all this stuff." And, like, I know there's a lot of narcs out there, and there's a lot of crazy people and stuff. But, like, it's situations like that that are just not normal. That's like, bro, you found that. You went to some sketchy bar. You found some sketchy broad. Like, you found that. Same with my other friend that had the other girl who was, started screaming crazy stuff. Like, you found that, I'm gonna scratch my nose here, but like, and they find it, and they seek it out, and they love it, and they're into it, and, "Oh, it's so great," but then it's like, it's gonna blow up in their face, and I don't know, man. I don't know. It's like, someone gets a pet scorpion or a pet rattlesnake, then they get bit or stung and they get sick, and oh, I thought this rattlesnake was so nice and so cuddly, but he bit me, and oh, I thought this scorpion, I thought she'd be so nice, but she stung me, and like, oh my God, it's so annoying, you know, and it's just like, it's so obvious too. And like I've had situations where I've been love bombed. They really seemed cool, but then over time they start acting really crazy, you know, like that does happen. And there are definitely, you know, times people are victims in it and are deceived and things like that. But, you know, what I'm referring to is times where it's very, very obvious and they're choosing to enable this stuff, you know, and it's so, you know, it's so ridiculous, and you all know stories of this, and, you know, it's just like, oh, we got back together and he changed, and like, no, he didn't, you know, he's lying to you about that, like, stop, you know. And oh my God, it's annoying. It's not just with relationships, with friendships too, like, you know, oh, this guy, he's so cool, he's like my big brother, we went out to the club and blah-da-da-da-da, and he asked to borrow $200 from me and hasn't paid me back, but it's not a big deal, dude, he's so cool, he's flirting with all these girls and stuff, and, oh, you know, it's just like, give it a rest, you know, give it a rest. And a lot of these people are just, you know, there's two kinds of enablers. There's the minions and the people who really can't think for themselves and need someone else to think for them and want to be a little minion and a little stooge for the narcissist. And then there's the people who are more, you know, the caretaking type folks, more parental type people who, like I talked about before, they want to have this pet scorpion and this pet whatever, and they look at the narcissist like, he's my baby, or, oh, you know, I just take care of her, and I love her, and I love this pet snake, I love this pet scorpion, oh, you know, it's just, like, just stop it, you know, stop it. And like, some of these people, it's like, they're such little minions, you know, they're such little followers, and they want some, you know, domineering person to boss them around, and, oh, you know, he'll whip me into shape, you know, she'll whip me into shape, you know, and, you know, they want that, they like that dynamic, you know, and it always ends badly, you know, it does, and, you know, they want to be the little stooges, you know. It's like Darth Vader and the Stormtroopers, and, oh, no, we can't make Darth Vader mad, you know, he choked a guy, and, oh, you know, we have to make him happy. If, you know, Darth Vader found out Luke got away, he's gonna kill us, you know. And it's like, dude, like, what are you doing? Stop, like, get out of that. Don't enable that, you know. And it's like, it's at a bigger scale, but it's the same thing with these enablers. And then Darth Vader's going to Palpatine, you know, that Emperor guy, and he's, oh, bowing down to him, like, whoa, please have mercy on me, you know. It's just like, stop. Like, they bow down to these people, they enable these people. It's like, you know, they want to be like their minion, you know. If you watch, what was it, Despicable Me or something, and I didn't see it, but you got the little minions, and you got, who's it, like, Groot or something, like the evil bald guy that they're following around or whatever. And that's what these people are. They're just like, I want to be a little minion, and I don't want to have to think for myself, and I want to just have to enable narcissists and serve narcissists and do whatever I can to make them happy, because it's a big adventure, and oh, it's so much fun, yay, you know. And I see it so much, with just like, just the enabling is just ridiculous, you know. And it's like, they just go out of their way. They go out of their way for these narcissists, you know, and they go out of their way to find them, and it's all they're into, it's all they like, it's all they can have a relationship with, you know. And on some level, there is childhood trauma and stuff like that. I don't want to blame or disparage them too much, but like, they empower the narcissist by doing this. And by doing this, they are empowering evil. You know, they are. They're propping up an evil person. They are being put to work by an evil person. They are, you know, making sure that the goals and the ends of this evil person are being done. And like, in the end of the day, they're enabling evil upon the earth. And I think a lot of these people are evil people themselves, but they're not very smart, or they don't have, they're not able to think for themselves, or for whatever reason they're not empowered to be in any kind of a leadership position or something. So they seek out a narcissist. They seek out a villain to serve. They seek out a villain to be a minion of, And I think of it like this. It's like, I don't know, you're in high school. I'm in high school or whatever. I'm 16, 17. I'm hanging out, drinking, smoking some cigarettes, smoking a little weed, hanging out with some girls or whatever. And then there's these younger kids who are like 14 or whatever, and they're looking at me like, he's my big brother. He's so cool. We want to be just like him, And meanwhile, you're kind of screwing them around, telling, hey, go to the store, get me a Slurpee from 7-Eleven or something, And it's like that, but it just manifests into adulthood. It manifests into situations that are, going to be like permanently harmful. It manifests into situations that are just really bad for the world and really bad for society. And it's not some fun little childish game anymore. It's serious business. And it's just like that dynamic. But instead of getting a Slurpee for this guy, it's like, now that you have children with this person, and this person's abusing the children, and you're covering for them, and it turns into stuff like that. And it's like, wow, wow. And like one place where I see this dynamic really play out is in sex trafficking, the pimp game, all that type of stuff. And it's not some brother in a hat and a fuzzy coat, and it's all fun and games. It really is not. It's a hardcore, sociopathic, psychopathic narcissist who, manipulates the crap out of these vulnerable girls and sometimes guys too, and basically just tries to get these people to be his property, and takes all their money, sometimes even kills them. Like, how dark that stuff is, you don't even know. It's so dark. But a lot of the people who are, the hoes or the prostitutes or the victims of this or whatever, like, they stay around with it. They roll with it, and it's like, yo, get out of town, or like drop a dime on that guy, get him arrested, like snitch on him. Like in that case, like get rid of that fool. Like, what are you doing, But I've heard stories about them, and they're like, they'll bail the pimp out of jail, and they'll go to jail instead of the pimp, and he won't even pick them up, and then they'll come running back to him like, oh, please take me back, and it's just like why, and I'm at a loss for words, I really am, because it's just, this stuff is just like, this person is so bad for you and bad for society, but they're just lining up to be like, oh yes sir, I'll do whatever you say, anything to make them happy, and it's just, it's really shocking, and like, this does not absolve the narcissist of any wrongdoing. The narcissists are, the main wrongdoers. The enablers are going along with it. But if an enabler does abusive things at the direction of the narcissist, I mean, the hand of the enabler, like, did that thing. And, like, the enabler is going to be held accountable, by moral law, by the law of God, and also by, the law of society. Like, the enablers are accountable for what they do. And I think a lot of enablers go along with the evil schemes of a narcissist with this idea that there's no accountability toward them. And like, there absolutely is accountability, there really is. Yeah. And I think these enablers don't want to have that. And I think for the most part, they want to be in this very dumbed down, childish kind of state where they're just like, hee, I'm like a little kid, and I mean, the narcissists are like that too, but I mean, the narcissists also want to dodge accountability and all that stuff, like that too, but I really feel like there are a lot of narcissists, but like for every narcissist, there's probably 2 or 3 enablers. And like, if the enablers didn't enable, the narcissist would not like be tolerated. It wouldn't work. But like, our society from top to bottom is just covered in narcissistic dynamics. And like, on some level, it is on, the enablers to just be like, hey, I'm walking away, I'm not going to put up with this. I'm not going to tolerate this. I'm not going to, like, put my hand toward this. Like, no, I'm going to wash my hands of this person. I'm going to wash my hands of this situation, and people just don't do it, man. And I even see people who will watch narcissist videos and stuff, and they have no intention of leaving the narcissist. They have no intention of separating or going no contact or anything like that, or they have no intention of setting boundaries, and I see that. They just want to hear some feel-good stuff and then go back to enabling, and it's like, you can't do that, you really can't. And, like, I was watching some other narcissist video on TikTok or something, and it's some lady with a bunch of makeup on. She's talking about, my past 4 exes were narcissists, and then I upgraded to a sociopath, and it's exciting. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what are you doing? Like, you are just unleashing evil into the world, you are, and she is, and it's just like, that's the worst possible advice. And, like, she's saying that like it's some big fun and games thing, when it's like, that's not fun and games. You're gonna ruin your life doing that, and that's what happens to the enablers, man. They end up getting their lives ruined by the narcissists, they really do. And again, I'm not trying to blame victims, and, like, we've all found ourselves in situations with narcissists. There's love bombing, we were deceived, there's deception and lies that go into that. But, like, the enablers, it's like they seek this dynamic out and they just stay in it, and they really try to, like, put in work for the narcissist too, and, like, when it comes to standing up for the narcissist, standing up to the narcissist, they never will. And when you want to, when you want to stop the abuse from happening, they'll get mad at you, I've talked about this in other videos, but, if you, a lot of police officers will talk about responding to a domestic violence where a man is violently beating up his wife. They arrest the man and break it up, and then the woman goes and attacks the police officers. Like, no, he's my boyfriend, I love him. Like, it's like, what? Oh my God, like, dear God, really, like, Lord have mercy, and that's a very, very common story. That's not uncommon at all. Like, if you watch videos of police officers and interviews and stuff like that, almost all of them will talk about this dynamic, where these people are just so devoted to the narcissist, and they're evil themselves probably, and I don't know what the heck's going on totally in those situations. I can't be a complete judge of it or completely assess it, but there's a level of enabling that's just insane and absolutely toxic, and the enabling, the following along, and, like, the enablers think that by following along with a narcissist, it makes them a good person. And I've had situations where, I've seen narcissists acting weird and abusive toward people, and I've came in and I've been like, hey, stop this. We're not going to have this here, and then the enabler, who was actually the victim of this, freaked out on me and got mad at me and is like, hey, you don't understand what's going on here. We're friends, we're just joking around. I'm like, okay, you want to defend this? All right. Wash my hands of both of them, And at the end of the day, you gotta wash your hands of the enablers and the flying monkeys. It's the only way. So, yeah, everybody, I hope this video found you well. God bless you all. And, I'm out. I'll see you next time.